Hello again. This video was done under the theme for Pixels Dailies of Spellbook. Now, Spellbooks is something that I've done a bit. It's actually one of the exercises on my pixel art course. So I thought it would be fun to have a go at doing something a bit different in terms of perspective, you know, what the book is actually doing in the image. So I'm sketching using just one pixel brush, just a pixel art brush pencil tool. And I'm trying to figure out the layout of the image. I'd started with one that was 60 by 100 pixels. It was fairly small for what I wanted to do, considering the amount of detail I wanted to put into the book. And it's basically a floating book with the pages sort of either lifting or flipping from one side to the other, and a sort of power orb or power something on top of it. Now, once I get the layout or the sketch, you know, sort of okay, as far as I'm considered, as I consider it to be good, I start applying some basic colors. And what I'm doing with these colors is basically separating each page and giving it a direction. Depending on the color you're going to put on the page, you're going to show that it's facing towards or away. Now, this page almost at the center here is a bit bright because what I'm doing is I'm doing subsurface scattering. I'm having the light go through the paper, almost like in a Japanese paper panel. Or a paper window. You can actually see the light shining through, even though it's supposedly an opaque material. What it means is there's some translucency, and color does bleed through. It does get soaked up by the paper itself. I chose blue for the cover because I was kind of bored of doing the typical red leather or brown leather book. So in this case, I just went for blue. Now I'm adding a little bit of shadow in between the pages, and I'm adjusting here the size of the pages because they kind of don't fit with the scale of the book. And it's basically me trying to figure out what shape they should have. And now I'm adding a little edge on the bottom of the pages of the book because I want those to look like they're rounded. Now for the top side of this page, which is facing light a bit more than all the others, I want it really blown out, like a complete almost white page because of how much light it's getting. And the top edge of that page also gets a little highlight, and all of these pages are going to get thickness, and the reason they're going to get thickness is just to show the direction that they're facing, because the pages are supposed to be very thin, but it kind of felt like they should be a little thicker. This page also should be a little warmer in terms of saturation, the one that's having the subsurface scattering. Because the light is soaking through the page. It's getting tinted by the page. It's not just bouncing back, it's getting filtered. It's a little different. Now for the orb, what I explained here is that I don't want to do a center thing and then do a highlight, because that would mean it's a solid object. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some sort of shapes, energy shapes, and this way I can kind of get away with doing the energy at the center. Because if I were to do the energy at somewhere else, or at least the bright edge or the bright part is somewhere else, then it would become a solid object and not this sort of floating energy thing. But to get this idea across, I need to add a few more things. And at this point, I make my own custom brush because I'm missing a brush that I had, which sketches from 1 pixel size to any size you want, which is really helpful, and it's something that I wasn't able to do in Photoshop for ages, and I managed to figure it out. So what I'm doing here, what you don't see is I'm doing a 1 pixel size brush tip, and then I'm configuring it on the brush panels, and there you go. We get a brush that goes from very thin to fairly wide, and all I'm doing with this is creating shapes that go around the orb. I'm calling it orb, but it's basically a sort of a center, a power center or something. And what I want to do then is take the same colors from the orb and shade them in, add them in that shape to show that they are both have energy, but at the same time, some of the light is coming through the orb and shining on those sort of streaks of light or streaks of energy. I also do a few of them going behind it so that I can sell the idea that that thing has a space, that it's not a flat thing, that there's an in front and a behind. And now to give it a little bit of glow, I took away the sketch because I wasn't feeling it. The sketch was actually ruining the the drawing. So what I do now is to give it the idea of glow is I paint behind it, kind of a mix of the colors in the image. And what that does is it creates this idea of haze or something around it that then translates into it looking like it's lighting up the room, and making this almost this fog around it. It may also be that it's a little too dark for the whole thing, but if you push these things a little too bright, there's already quite enough brightness there on the book pages and on the center of the orb. So if you push everything else a little too bright, you're going to end up doing solid shapes instead of glows and things like that. Subtlety is very important. You risk ruining your image if you're too blunt about the way you express some of these things. Now I'm doing a little bit of job of cleanup. I'm only doing this now because I have the final palette on my image. I'm fairly happy with what I've got right now. So I'm just going in, cleaning up and getting all the pixels in the right place. I'm also adding a bit of details here to suggest that the pages are separated. Also the typical extra page that's been ripped but is still in the book, poking out through the other pages. And now I'm doing specks of power, some sort of like floating lights, a bit like fireflies. And the trick for that is you just make a big soft ball, and then you do a slightly brighter, but only very tinily, very little brighter, and then just a 1 pixel strong dot in the center, and that helps create the idea of energy, pretty much just like I'm doing all around. And this kind of gets the idea of cross. Maybe there's some particles moving, maybe there's some things here and there that actually represent energy, and they play along quite well with the background that I added with the sort of the light haze or the glow that I added. Now there's a few more cleanup to do, and there's also adding of the text in the pages, which I'm going to be honest is not the best thing in this image. It's actually quite scribbly and bad, but at this point it's by the end of the stream, and I was kind of really wanting to see what this would look like all together. Now there's a few things that I've added after I stopped the stream, so I'll have the image at the end there. But the whole point of this being so scribbly is that I'm using, I want to avoid having too many colors. Like the way it is right now, it already has quite a lot of colors on the image. I mean, the final image has over 64 colors, which is quite a lot if you think about a pixel art image. It's actually very much, I mean, whole games are made with that amount of colors. The issue was that if you want to get these glows across sort of in a way that you feel that they look good, you're probably going to have to do something like that. You're going to have to spend a lot of colors doing those soft transitions, and you're going to be worrying a little too much that some things will look very flat. And I'm pretty sure that if I took all the colors away and made a 2-color image, you would still go, okay, that's a glow, but it's very hard to do that, you know, from scratch. So I'm going to show you the final image now, so you can see I added a little bit of edge around the book, and I also added some color correction towards the blue and cyan, and I think it made it a little more interesting. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and take care.